Good evening. My name is Sarah Landstreet. Thank you for the intro, Alex. I'm founder and CEO at Georgette Packaging, completely different from the other super tech companies that have been up here this evening. So we make branded packaging, literally what you're thinking, like cups and bags and boxes. We work with food businesses across North America. These are some photos of taken by our customers. If you need an example, maybe some of you know Prairie Girl Cupcakes in town, so we do all of their boxes, for instance. So what I'd like to talk about tonight is a dilemma within my business, something I've been thinking about a lot for the last 6-12 months especially, and I have a bit of a challenge for you all. So first, let me tell you a bit about my industry. Packaging worldwide is a $975 billion industry. It represents just under 1.5% of gross world product. Now, to give you a comparison, all of software is $400 billion. This might seem surprising, but when you think about it, almost everything that you buy is packaged. So there are so many brilliant sides to my industry. These are a couple of photos that I've taken at the factories that we work with. We support a lot of manufacturing jobs. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of packaging is actually manufactured still in Canada. Most of what we sell is made right here in Ontario. So I feel like creation of jobs, not just tech and engineering jobs, but factory jobs is incredibly important for supporting your community. So much work goes into packaging. The other great thing about it is that we help businesses to grow, to build their brand. But, of course, there's a flip side to that. Packaging, the majority of it ends up in a landfill. So there are a couple of problems. One, there's far too much emphasis on recycling. I think that people think that, oh, I recycle diligently, therefore everything's going to be okay. There's so much misinformation. So a lot of people in Toronto think that they can recycle coffee cups, for instance. A lot of cafes in town will even print on their cup that this is recyclable, whereas they're actually not. There's very little I'd say focus and commitment on sourcing sustainably. The net result of this is basically packaging is an environmental disaster. So why does this all matter? The big picture is that and this is something, so my dad's an astrophysicist, total side note, and he works on climate change quite a bit. So we were chatting about this, and it really struck me. So 10,000 years ago, right here in Ontario, or globally, the temperature on average was 5 degrees cooler than it is right now. So just 5 degrees, but Ontario was covered in a layer of ice 500 meters thick. So current projections are that the global temperature will go up between 2 and 3 degrees in the next 50 years as a result of anthropogenic influences. So resulting in forest fires and extreme weather and drought. So I feel like if my industry is contributing to this significantly, I damn well better be trying to do something about it. As someone who is in the industry, I think I have a larger ability to actually do something about it and set a better example. I think it's important to think that, although if I weren't supplying it, for instance, I couldn't actually diminish the amount of packaging out there, but while I'm in the industry, if I'm able to offer something that is a less irresponsible option, that could be one meaningful thing that I could do. So one major accomplishment we've had in the last 6 months is to make all of our packaging carbon neutral. We work with these guys in Latin America. They focus on stopping deforestation, which is the second largest contributor to climate change worldwide. Of course, the cost of this does make us less competitive as a company in an already very competitive industry. So I'm sure a lot of you have thought about before, like, if you go to a cafe and they talk about the origin of their coffees and which country they come from and the workers' treatment, no one really thinks very much about that with packaging. They don't ask where the packaging came from, who made it, what it's made out of. And so we're trying to bring that interest over into our industry and shine a light on it. So this is kind of our new symbol that we have. That's all about us being carbon neutral. And so my challenge to everybody, knowing that we are a very conscientious and aware generation, is to think about what within your industry or your business is affecting a broader group of shareholders that you might not think about. I'm sure you consider all the time your customers, your colleagues, your investors, for instance, but what about the environment? what about the rest of the people in your community? When you're offshoring, when you're automating, even just by growing, what impact is it having? So this has been a really big part of our business as we grow and think about our growing ability to have a role here. And so I think it would be amazing if everyone could spend some time thinking about that and really being agitators and activists within their industry to try to make things better. Thank you. Any questions? This pressing paper cup.
I'm going to start. It's Alex here.
Oh, yeah.
You've taken the choice to do something that's different in your industry that's price sensitive. So how has that affected your business, and how have you made that? Have you been able to make that a competitive advantage in any way?
So I would say we're between those two. We're between the part where we're experiencing the cost, but we haven't fully translated like, okay, great, and people love it, and they're willing to pay 5 times as much. I would say most people I speak with don't know what it means for packaging to be carbon neutral. They don't know a lot about climate change, and so we're in that trough of attempting to educate people and trying to tell them, what it is to do this and why we're doing it and why they should pay more for it. And it's a tough conversation. It's not a valued, it's a very commoditized product. And so, yeah, that's new. Keep you posted on that one.
Follow up TechTO presentation.
Hi there. I actually think about packaging a lot, so...
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, you go to the grocery store and people just wrap everything. And like even bananas, they're wrapping in plastic bags. And you're just like, why? It's already got its own package. You don't need this.
Bananas are relatively good for the environment compared to...
Exactly.
Just don't buy raspberries this time of year.
Except for the plastic bag that people put it in. It's just... Anyways.
Yeah.
Going on a long rant. I wanted to find out, is it possible for the packaging industry to create packages that last maximum 2 times as long as the product that's inside of it? Like, is that type of technology, does that exist inside of the industry? Is that something that people are working on? Or is that even possible? So...
Yeah, I'd say it's not a matter of technology. The technology is there, that's no problem. For instance, there's a lot of compostable packaging that would biodegrade in 10 days or 20 or 40 days, and no one wants to use it because it biodegrades too easily. So if it's exposed to a bit of moisture or a bit of heat or a bit of light, and so the industry prefers to have more long-lasting packaging, and plastic is extremely hard to beat. And so that's why so much of packaging is plastic. It's very, very cheap, it's very, very durable, and it lasts forever, so people don't need to worry about things, shelf life. So it's not going to be a technology play that changes this, I don't think. I think it's going to be a behavior play. It's like people getting used to thinking about their packaging, asking questions about it, learning what they're buying, and using alternatives, so using more reusable alternatives. When you think of the grocery store trip, though, I have to say, people are so focused on the plastic bags, it ends up being like 1,000th of the carbon impact, or like the greenhouse impact of your entire grocery trip. So cutting out beef is way more impactful. But yeah, that's what I think. There you go.
One last question.
Hello.
Hi. Just with regards to the compostable comments you were making, have you guys thought of going compostable in your packaging, or are there opportunities for you to move that way? There are a bunch of companies that are actually doing that with regards to food, like you said, especially if it's delivery and short term.
Yeah, so compostable. So for instance, a lot of the cups here this evening, you'll see our Green Shift cups. So they are compostable, but of course you need the facilities. So I in some places there are the bins. I see like a green bin over here. So people have to first know that it's compostable, and their city has to have the facilities to actually compost it. So what I've learned anyway is that most cities, although they have a municipal compost system, they want things to go in it that will degrade in 40 days, whereas a Green Shift cup degrades in about 140 to 180 days. So because they don't want to wait that long, they actually just sift it out. If you put something like a compostable cup in the recycling, it is recyclable, but because it's such a rare product, again, most cities will just sweep it aside and not bother to do it. So we can offer compostable options all day long, but it doesn't mean that they're actually going anywhere. So we like to, make sure that it has like a real genuinely better destination. Another problem, for instance, is like a hot cup. So we sell hot cups that have a PLA, like a polylactic acid lining instead of plastic. But there's no standardized way to mark on that cup that the city would be able to identify that it is compostable. And so say the city then receives it in their green bin, they're going to assume this is a regular coffee cup, this is definitely not compostable, we're just going to set it aside. So it's like a very long chain of education that needs to happen. So yeah, great question though.
So I lied. I'm going to give one more question. Presenters always get special treatment.
I'm presenting every time from now on for that. I have a question about the Story of Stuff, because I feel like you're doing incredible things, and then there's marketing agencies like Story of Stuff who break it down for. I'll share it with. I'll share it on the LinkedIn thing. It's just they do a great job of explaining it to anyone who's not doing environmental things, and then together you guys could be this for sure.
Cool. I like it. I'll check that out. Thank you.